Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the traffic stops portion of your Citizens Academy. This is going to be a lot of fun tonight, like Mr. Johnson said. We're going to go out. Basically, how tonight's going to work is, and I hate to follow Eric with his many achievements and his status and being a serviceman, and of course the motorcycle out there. It's a tough act to follow. So we're going to do as best we can. Also, I'm a country boy. I'm a redneck. I'm monosyllabic, so no titles, no last names. It's Mike and Eric. So we'll do it that way. It's much easier to say. So we're gonna talk in here for probably 45 minutes or so. Then we're gonna go out on the range and we're gonna conduct some traffic stops in a controlled scenario. As Mr. Johnson told you, you're gonna be using airsoft guns that won't have any pellets in them, but you're gonna basically experience some of the things that we've experienced. Now let me go ahead and tell you, in the 3-hour block that we have tonight, or the remaining what's left of the 3 hours, there is absolutely no way that we're gonna be able to scratch the surface of what the 20 plus years of experience and training between Eric and I are going to be able to show you that what we would experience on a traffic stop. So we're just going to real quickly go over it. Basically what my hope is that you have a better understanding of what we do on a daily basis. When you turn on the news and you see, the first thing you see is a police officer shoots an unarmed man. Well, that's the only side of that story that you hear. You don't get to hear the police officer side of the story. You're not actually there feeling the fear and feeling and seeing and smelling and experiencing everything that police officer experienced. So anytime that we get the opportunity to explain to you just a little bit about what we do, it makes our jobs much easier. You walk away with a better understanding, you walk away with a better feeling about what we do on a daily basis. So let's get started here real quick. I had a YouTube video of Paul Harvey. I used to listen to Paul Harvey all the time. And if you ever get a chance to YouTube Paul Harvey policeman, please do that. We're not going to listen to that tonight just to save some time. Our objectives tonight, we're going to discuss why we conduct vehicle stops or traffic stops. We're going to discuss the reasons for making vehicle stops. We're going to discuss officer safety issues. We're going to talk about what we do during the vehicle stops. And of course, we're going to do the practical exercises. Virtually everything on there says discuss. I'm not a teacher, I don't like to teach, but I like to discuss things. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them at any time. There's my I love me wall. There's Eric's. I think Mr. Johnson went over Eric's there. All right, so according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, there were 11 motor vehicle crashes every minute in 2013 nationwide. There were 3 injury crashes every minute. There were 3.4 crashes involving a fatality every hour. It's a crash where somebody died in there, so there were 3.4 of those every hour in the United States. There's 1.1 fatality every hour where an alcohol-impaired driver was involved. And in 2013, there were 277 fatalities involved in motor vehicle crashes where someone was impaired. And nationwide in 2013, there were 2.3 million people that were injured in crashes. 32,719 crashes related to fatalities in all. This is a crash that I worked when I worked for the city of Gallatin. This is on Nichols Lane, if you're familiar with that. Very open stretch of road where this occurred. A young teenage driver, male, and his girlfriend passenger were in the Ford Ranger, which is on the left there. And for whatever reason, his attention was diverted from the road. And so he veered across the double yellow line there and struck an older Chevy Impala head on. That's one of the old big bodies. It's like a late 70s, early 80s model Impala. So it's a tank. And you see what that Ford Ranger did to that Impala. Now the significance here is one, that the driver diverted his attention away from the road. We want to prevent that. We want to make sure through education and enforcement of traffic laws that we make sure that people are looking at the road so we don't have crashes like this. Also, the people in the Impala, there were 3 people, and they were rather large people. None of them were wearing their seatbelts. And you can't see it, but the windshield is what we call spider web, which means their head went right over the windshield. That had the old bench-style seats, if you remember those. Of course, like I said, none of them were wearing seatbelts. And the force of the impact made the 2 front seat passengers go forward. Well, the person in the back wasn't wearing a seatbelt, so she propelled the front seat passengers even more forward. The bench seat was basically like that after the crash because she went forward into that bench seat, making those 2 front seat passengers even more impact the windshield. Yes? They did survive, yes. They did have some critical injuries, but they did survive. This was a drunk driver, took a curve too fast and went sideways into a telephone pole. I have a picture of the interior of the vehicle where the steering wheel is at a 90-degree angle from where it should be. The driver did survive that. It's hard to hurt a drunk, but it's typically the people who are the sober people who are the victims of a drunk driver-related crash who suffer the worst injuries, unfortunately. Traffic and crime trends. According to the FBI, the latest statistics available were from 2012. There was one murder every 35 minutes. There was one rape every 6 minutes. There was one aggravated assault every 41 seconds. An aggravated assault is where there is serious bodily injury or there's a weapon that's involved in the assault. There was one violent crime every 26 seconds. Also, there was one burglary every 15 seconds, one theft every 5 seconds, one motor vehicle theft every 43 seconds, one property crime overall every 3.5 seconds, and let's see if I go back, so why do I tell you about thefts and burglaries and murders and robberies when we're talking about traffic stops? We're going to get into that in a few minutes, but basically, the reason why we do traffic enforcement is one, because we want to make sure that the motoring public drives safely, and we do that through enforcement and education. Also, traffic enforcement is an excellent tool for detecting other crimes. We get people who are wanted for murder, we get people who are wanted for theft, people who transport illegal drugs, people who transport the property that they've stolen. You know, if you think common sense wise, your neighbor who lives on the same street that breaks into your house, that's probably not going to happen. Now, somebody who lives in another county that drives on a road to your house and breaks in and steals your things, they're getting back on the road and they're driving away. So what better way to catch them than try to stop them on a traffic stop? I used to be assigned to the Criminal Interdiction Unit of the 18th Judicial District Drug Task Force. That's me on the right, of course. On the left is Jody Starks. I grew up with Jody up in the New Deal area, and Jody is a Gallatin police officer. Basically, what we did was we stopped cars for legitimate reasons and with the subjective intent, which the Supreme Court says we can do, of looking for criminal activity. Drugs, guns, drug money, wanted people, evidence of crimes, just all sorts of things. But we use traffic enforcement as a way to find other illegal things. Jody stopped a car going northbound on I-65 one day. When he makes contact with the driver through a field or through a roadside interview, he learns that the driver has a criminal history for marijuana possession for resale. He also learns that the driver doesn't have a job. He really doesn't have a good story for why he's traveling. The guy's from out of state. So Jody calls me up and says, hey, bring your dog up here. When the dog around the car, the dog alerts to the presence of narcotic odor coming out of the car. Therefore, we have permission, we have probable cause to search the vehicle. So we search the vehicle, we look at the speaker box back there. Through our training, we know that if you see the screws that go around those speakers in that speaker box there, that if they're bright and shiny, that there's recent activity where somebody's tried to take those screws out and put them in. If it's rusted, it's been there for a long time. So we see that there are shiny marks on these screws. We take our drill and take the screws out, and lo and behold, $18,000 in cash hidden in that speaker box. Again, guy's got a criminal history for marijuana possession for resale. He has no job. He has no good reason for having $18,000 hidden in a speaker box. So under the laws, then we were able to seize that money, and subsequently that money was awarded to the Drug Task Force to further our efforts in fighting crime. This is just an example. See the gun right there? More times or often there will be weapons involved in drug activities and also other crimes. You know, this guy was traveling with about $3,000 and a half ounce of marijuana and a pistol. And I believe he was a convicted felon as well. This little guy right here, no, he's not a traffic stop. However, this is my youngest. This is J. Garrett Guthrie. And he comes around the corner one day, and this has been 3 or 4 years ago. He's young then. Comes around the corner, and I said, what's under your shirt? Something just doesn't look right there. So he smiles, he lifts up his shirt. He's got a couple of water pistols here and some, I don't know, well, I guess that's another pistol right there. This bag is a plastic knife. And so I said, hey, we got to have a talk. So anyway, so my point of that is one of the things that we look for when we confront people, whether it's on a traffic stop or whether it's, something as simple as a theft report, anything, then we look for nonverbal cues of people who are about to flee, who are about to fight, who have weapons on them. So when I see somebody who has a bulge under their shirt, it kind of makes me a little suspicious. You know, so I might take some different action on how I deal with that person. But I just thought that was a pretty good example there of you know, somebody who might be packing something. The Murrah building, anybody know where this was? Oklahoma City, there you go. So why don't I bring that up in a traffic stop class? Well, Tim McVeigh and Terry Nichols, with some other people, conspired to blow up a federal building because basically they're anti-government people. And on April 19th, 1995, McVeigh parked a rented Ryder truck with thousands of pounds of explosives at the Murrah building, killed 168 people, injured over 600 others, including many children who were at a daycare there at that facility. 90 minutes after the explosion at 902, 90 minutes after that, an Oklahoma State trooper stopped Timothy McVeigh and subsequently arrested him. He didn't have a driver's license, and he had a weapon on, a handgun. So they go to jail, again, 90 minutes after this explosion. I think that day or maybe later on, the next day, they put two and two together with sketches and other intelligence that law enforcement had, and it was Timothy McVeigh who was already in custody and subsequently arrested for that crime. Now, I tell you that because Timothy McVeigh didn't have a driver's license. Timothy McVeigh rented a Ryder truck and drove it to the Murrah building. Timothy McVeigh, I don't know if he had the weapon on him then or if it was left in the getaway car or what. But what if that same trooper or a deputy sheriff or a city police officer had stopped that Ryder truck at 7 o'clock that morning? What if they stopped it? And they got Timothy McVeigh because he didn't have a driver's license. And they took him to jail, and they subsequently would have searched that truck, an inventory search, because they're going to impound it. What if? Very well could have been that 168 lives would have been saved that day. That could have been done on a traffic stop. But we know that Timothy McVeigh was caught in a traffic stop.
How did he get a license with that? How did he get a freedom of that license?
He used a fictitious name. He used the name of somebody that he was in the military with. They had similar appearance. I believe that gentleman's name was Kling, and while I was reading about Timothy McVeigh, he was what's a Klingon? Is that some Star Wars or anything? Well, he was infatuated with the Klingons, and knew the guy whose last name was Kling. He associated the two, and he kind of liked that, so he used a fictitious name. So we do traffic enforcement to prevent or reduce traffic-related deaths, injuries, property damage. When we have crashes, there's ultimately property damage. Sometimes there's injury, and sometimes it ends up in death. And also we use it to detect or prevent driving under the influence. We know that driving under the influence is a huge problem. We commonly do checkpoints, sobriety checkpoints. We do bar checks and all sorts of things to deter or catch people who are driving under the influence, because when you're driving under the influence, we know that everything is impaired. Your ability to drive, your judgment, ends up sometimes fatal. We want to influence positive driving behavior. You know, if you're doing 15 over the limit, then it's going to take you that much longer to stop in case of a child running out in front of you or a car pulling out in front of you. So we want to influence you to drive positively, therefore reducing your chance of becoming involved in a crash. We also want to increase police visibility. I don't know about you, but I'm thinking that most criminals don't want to hang around where they see the police. So if the police are out and about in the communities or on the roadways, then the criminal's probably going to go somewhere else and not do their criminal behavior where they see the police. We want to detect and prevent other crime. Like I said, the drug task force, when I was there, we wanted to detect drugs, guns, wanted people. We wanted to take those people to jail. Probably one of the cases that I made on the drug task force didn't have anything to do with dope. It was stopped a car coming northbound one evening about 7 o'clock. The guy just was something shady about his story, and got to basically, long story short, is he had just committed a burglary in Nashville, and so we took him into custody and recovered some evidence of that crime. The crime hadn't even been reported yet, so that's one of the things that we can do to detect and prevent crime. I don't know what happened right there. Criminal activity that we can find: drugs, guns, ill-gotten gains, or money that is used either stolen or the proceeds from selling drugs or other illegal things. We can find stolen property. We can find abducted children. I don't know, I'm sorry about the thing on the right, but to take people who are driving without a driver's license, driving on revoked, driving on suspended license, terrorists, Timothy McVeigh, detect DUIs, find evidence of crimes, we can recover some fugitives. A couple of legal points that I want to go over real fast. There are different levels of suspicion or probable cause. Mere suspicion is a hunch that is drawn on an officer's gut instinct that he has developed through experience. Mere suspicion may serve as the basis of indicators, however, cannot be articulated with rational inferences and falls short of reasonable suspicion. I'll give you an example. Just on late Sunday night, early Monday morning, stopped a car with 2 people in it, walk up to the car, I get the driver's license, and I notice the passenger, man, this is a young guy, and he looks like he's in shape, but he's just breathing real heavy. Well, my hunch is that he's scared of something. I don't know if he's scared of me, if he's trying to hide something, or what. So I really can't do much about it. I mean, he's breathing heavy, he's acting nervous, but I really can't act on a whole lot, okay? So I'm just gonna have to build on that if I find other things, if there are other characteristics that go along with him to further my suspicion. Reasonable suspicion are a set of facts and circumstances that when put together would lead an officer to believe that criminal activity may be afoot. An officer may briefly detain a person based on these facts until the officer can confirm or dispel his suspicion. It is more than mere suspicion, but less than probable cause. When I have reasonable suspicion, I have a set of facts that I think I can put together and would make me more suspicious about somebody being involved in criminal activity, so I can detain them at that point. My little friend who was a passenger in this vehicle that I stopped, I said, hey, do you have an ID on you? He says, no. I said, all right, what's your name? So he says, I'll just use a fake name, John Smith. All right, John, what's your date of birth? 3/18/1980. Okay. How old are you? I'm 35. All right. I'm a redneck, but I can do math pretty good. He was born in March 1980, and he says he's 35. Something ain't jiving here. So I've developed reasonable suspicion where I can detain him a little bit longer now. Okay. So we move on from that. So I'll come back to him in just a second. Now, probable cause, a set of facts or circumstances that would lead a prudent person to believe it is more probable than not that a crime has been committed or is being committed. Probable cause will allow me to arrest somebody. Probable cause will allow me to search certain things for evidence of a crime. So, long story short, my little friend in the vehicle, I think he's lying. I'll hold him until I can find out who he is. And then his girlfriend, she says, I met him 4 months ago. And so I see there's a baby up there that's 8 months old. And so of course they're separated. And I talked to the separated. She's back in my car, she has a suspended license. My friend is still up there outside the vehicle. So I said, hey, how long you known this girl back here? Well, that's my girlfriend, and that's our 8-month-old baby. Well, she told me that they've only known each other for 4 months. That can't happen. So of course my suspicion just kept building, and come to find out, this guy's wanted in Sumner County for failure to appear for a drug charge, and he's wanted for failure to appear for aggravated burglary out of Macon County. So found out who he was, developed probable cause to arrest him, charge him for criminal impersonation because he lied to me about who he was to avoid going to jail, and also took him to jail for his warrants also. So the reasons we stop vehicles. It's a whole book of TCA codes that we can stop vehicles for. Speeding, following too close, not wearing your seatbelt, child restraint. Child restraint is huge to me, and I'll tell you why in a second. Failing to signal, failing to yield, texting, window tint violations, lane control, muffler violations, and I can't tell what that top one up there says. Registration, yeah, thank you. Child restraint. When I've been a police officer. I started out working in jail for 2 years, went to the city of Gallatin, and was there for about a year and a half when I was talking about leaving one night. I get a call, hey, there's a child has fallen out of a shopping cart at Walmart. Well, I'm like 10 seconds away from it, so I said, I'll go down there. So I get down there and I see a big commotion in the middle of the intersection right there, 31E and Belvedere Drive. So I said, let me run and check on that real quick, and then I'll go up and check on the child that's fallen out of the shopping cart. What had actually happened was a lady had just left Walmart shopping. She had her 22-month-old child in the back, not restrained in his car seat like it was supposed to be. And he was a big child anyway. So as she's on Belvedere Drive, follow me here, turning left onto Nashville Pike, come back into Gallatin, the child, unsecured in his seatbelt, was able to reach over and he knew how to open up the door on the right side. So as the vehicle's turning left, the child falls out on the right side. A van behind the vehicle hits the child, kills the child instantly. And then 6 months later, this is, I mean, I was young and didn't have children, so it didn't affect me like I'm sure it does today. 6 months later, in front of Cracker Barrel, lady had her child in the back seat. I think this child was about 3, almost 4. And she had one of those old upright vacuum cleaners in the back seat right in front of where the child was sitting. Didn't have her child belted in either. So traffic in front of her on Nashville Pike there at Lock 4 Road was slowing, and then it stopped. But she wasn't going more than probably 15 miles an hour when she bumped the car in front of her. She looked away from the road for a second, and she bumped the car in front of her. 15 miles per hour. Child in the back seat flew forward, hit her chin on the upright vacuum cleaner, killed the child, broke his neck. Child restraint's huge, sort of has a special place in my heart there, as all the other laws do, because I know that enforcing these laws, whether I write a warning, whether I write a ticket, whether I take you to jail for it, I know that ultimately I'm trying to educate you, and I'm trying to enforce the law so that you will know to properly restrain your child, to not speed, to wear your seatbelt, to not follow too close, because our ultimate goal is to what? Is to influence positive driving behavior so you don't get hurt or you die. All right, this is failure to yield to an emergency vehicle, and Eric, this is something he's going to go over and talk to you about for a few minutes.
This is the TCA code that describes what a citizen should do when they encounter a police officer, or an ambulance, or a fire truck running lights and signs. Okay, now it's pertinent to me personally because there's been several times that I go stop a car, and as a police officer, I always try to make the stop where I want it to be. All right, and the citizen just does a totally off-the-wall thing and goes to the left side of the roadway. Where now she's in danger of getting hit head-on, I'm in danger of walking up there. It's just a bad situation. So I asked Sergeant Guthrie to put this in there because, as a citizen, if a police officer behind you and he's attempting to pull you over, pull to the right. It's awfully simple to me. Some people get anxious and go to the other side of the roadway or stop right in the middle of the road. And a lot of times there was a story on Facebook, and if it was on Facebook, it's obviously true. The other day, about a woman who was being stopped by the police. She had just recently heard that there was a guy in her town who was out acting like he was a police officer stopping cars. I think she was a nurse, maybe. Don't want me to do that. So she sees a police officer behind her with her lights on. She slows her speed down and drives another half a mile to a lit parking lot, which to me sounds like a perfectly same thing to do. Well, there's probably some other details to the story that the journalist didn't write, but she was ultimately arrested for evading, and now her nursing license is up for revocation. But in the instance that you feel like there's that situation, I always tell people I'm fine with that. I think that that's reasonable. If you feel like you can't pull over there safely, turn your hazards on. Throw your hand out the window and say, hey, I see you, I'm just going to pull right up here. Do some kind of indication, that way, obviously don't speed up, but as police officers every day, we have to go through the test of reasonableness 100 times. So if I'm trying to stop you and you throw your hazards on, put your hand out the window and say, hey, I'm going right up here, I think that's okay. What else?
All right, so let's talk about our traffic stop. We want to determine where we're going to stop a car. Once I determine I'm going to stop it, then, I might see your violation. This is extreme, but it's legal. I might see your violation, I don't know, on the other side of Hendersonville. But I might not stop you for 4 or 5 miles because of certain circumstances, because I want to dictate where that stop is made. I might be waiting on another officer to show up because I know this person is wanted, or there's just something there. But we want to select a straight, level surface. We don't want to stop on the guardrail where there's a guardrail there. We don't want to stop just at on the other side of the crest of the hill, because we want other motorists to see us and have plenty of time to react, to move over and avoid hitting us. We don't want to stop at a curb. It's a bad idea also. We're going to call our stop in by the radio. So my car number is 21, so I'm going to say 21 Sumner. I'm going to say go ahead, and I'm going to tell them that stopping a car at Odom's Bend at Steam Plant Road, and this is the tag number. So they know if something goes bad, at least they know where I am, they can send help to me, and they know hopefully who they can have a description of the vehicle as well and who it's registered to. Now, we're going to approach the vehicle while we're watching it and watching passing traffic. When you go out to do your scenarios tonight, we're going to show you how to approach on the driver's side of the vehicle. There's no wrong way to do this, okay? I prefer to do my approaches on the passenger side. And the reason for that is, one, most likely you're not expecting me to show up on the passenger side of the vehicle. I kind of feel bad because I've scared the heck out of a lot of people doing that. But I don't go up there and say boo or anything like that. You know, I'm expecting to be over there, but I'm over here. Another reason for that is I'm not as concerned about passing cars over here if I'm on the driver's side of the vehicle. If I'm on the passenger side, I'm not as concerned. I'm still concerned, but not as concerned about the traffic passing over there. And also, you know, you can see a whole lot more inside the vehicle, in my opinion, if you approach on the passenger side as well. But anyway, we want to approach the vehicle cautiously on the driver's side, and still we have to keep an eye over our shoulder. So, you know, you almost have to have eyes in the back of your head in order to do that, but that's a necessary evil. We're going to scan the car and the occupants for excessive movement, weapons, etc. You know, if I go up to stop a car, 9 times out of 10, you know, people are just sitting there pretty still. But, you know, if I see people, you know, shuffling everything and, you know, doing all sorts of stuff, that's going to elevate my suspicion, and I'm going to be even more cautious about how I approach that car. Because, you know, typically when people are moving around like that a lot, they're hiding something. And if they're hiding something, they don't want me to see it. So that means it might be drugs, alcohol, a gun, something. So that we're also going to be looking for weapons in the vehicle when we walk up to it. Now, there's a law in Tennessee that says even if you don't have a permit, as long as you're legally able to have a weapon, then you can have a gun in the vehicle with you. So, you know, that changes the law game for us a little bit, but...
Doesn't it have to be in view?
Yeah, go ahead.
The law states that you have to legally be able to possess the weapon and legally possess the car. So if you've unauthorized use of the car, you know, your son took your car without your permission, he can't have a gun in there. If he's stolen the car, he can't. You have to legally be able to own the gun and legally possess the car. What it is...
It's a loaded gun.
No, it's a loaded gun. What it is, the castle doctrine. A man's home is his castle, he can have a gun in there if he wants to. It extends it to your car. It doesn't extend it outside of your car, but it extends it to your car,
It
basically.
doesn't have to be in plain view.
Also, there's a misinterpretation. You know, even though you have a permit and have your gun out with you, there's nothing that says if I'm concerned for my safety and you're legally possessing a weapon, I can take your weapon from you temporarily until I'm satisfied that the situation is safe for all of us. So even if you're legally in possession of a gun, a police officer can temporarily disarm you until he or she feels that it's safe for that person to have their weapon back. Oh, no, there's a... Yes, sir, go ahead.
Shouldn't you notify the officer that you do have a weapon in your car?
That's common sense. That's a great point, and a lot of folks will do that. Is there an obligation by law to do that? No. But yes, and you know, 9 times out of 10, people will say, hey, you know, they'll keep their hands on the steering wheel. I have a permit, I have a gun, it's, you know, over here, and I'm fine with it. It's okay. So, I went through a class one time, a traffic stops class, and they said, hey, there's a gun in the car. We're just going to go ahead and let you know. There's a gun in the car, so look for it. Well, heck, fire. The driver's sitting right there, and I approached on the driver's side. The gun is up on the dash, and not a single person in my class saw it, me included. I just, you know, I was looking, you know, on his waist, I was looking on his seat, and the whole time it's up on the dash. And I was rather embarrassed by it, but I didn't make that mistake again. I don't think. Yes, sir.
When you have a traffic stop and you call in the license number, do they tell you whether that person has a permit or not?
No, they don't at that point. When I run the driver's license, they will typically tell me that the person has a permit. And again, most people who have a permit, they'll hand me their permit as well when they hand me their driver's license most of the time. Now, most of our dispatchers will go ahead and run the tag, and if it comes back not on file, which is not uncommon, but you know, sometimes the state is behind a couple of weeks. So if if you buy a brand new car today and you get it registered, and even if you if you get a new plate, that might take 2 or 3 weeks or a month even to get that plate in the system. So when the dispatcher runs the plate, it might come back not on file. So the dispatchers will come back almost immediately and say, 21, that plate's not coming back on file, that vehicle description. So I'll give that to them. But when they do run the tag and it does come back, if it comes back stolen, they'll notify me then. Sometimes they even go as far as to check the registered owner for a valid license, because they know I'm probably going to ask for that anyway, and they'll check them for warrants. So our dispatchers are pretty good about doing that, so we'll get a heads up on that. So once we approach the driver, we're going to ask the driver for his license, his registration, and his insurance. We can also ask other people in the vehicle for their identification. They're not legally bound to give me that information, but I can ask for it. And of course, we're going to explain the reason for the stop. I always like to get the person's driver's license so I know who they are, so I can say, Mr. Johnson, this is the reason why I stopped you. Also, if things go bad, at least, hopefully I know who the person is in case there's a need for apprehension later. Just a couple of case laws, just real quick. Again, there are tons of these, and we just don't have time to go over all of them. We can, if we want to order the driver and the passengers out, we can do that. There's case law that says we can do that. I don't want to just get anybody out of the car, but there are certain circumstances that I might want to get people out of the car, and just for help later on, basically for documentation purposes. I usually want to have a reason why I get out of the car. Yes, ma'am.
I've seen cars stop, and the person gets out of the car and starts to approach
I'm in charge of that stop. If I tell that person to get back in the car, if I don't want them out of the car and they get out, and if I tell them to get back in, they need to get back in. If I tell them to get out, they have to get out, and if they don't comply with my commands, then there's ultimate legal criminal action that we can take against them. And of course, the use of force, we have to go through our continuum, depending on how the situation plays out. But, at first, I don't like typically somebody to get out of the car and approach me. I'm in control of that stop, and that's how I want to do. So. Yes?
Have you ever had someone pull over and they just drive off?
Yes, we have had that. Not too often, but we have had that happen. If you go roadside interview, I love to do this. If there's more than one person in the car, I love to get the driver out. Like my little story I told earlier about the stop I made Sunday night. I let the people out, and she told me one thing, the passenger told me another thing, and then that just further develops my suspicion. The longer I can detain them, the longer I can confirm or dispel that criminal activity is occurring or has occurred. And we can conduct checks on the license. We can check the driver's license if it's valid. We can determine if the person is wanted. We can check the VIN for being stolen. Now, based on the totality of the circumstances, based on everything that you've encountered during that traffic stop, we have a couple of options. We can call for another officer. If you don't feel good about it, we trust our gut. Okay, we trust our gut. If I don't feel good about it, I'm going to call and say, Eric, come over here and back me up on this. We can certainly do that. We can investigate further. It goes back to reasonable suspicion. Once I can develop and articulate reasons for detaining someone longer, then I can detain them until I can confirm or dispel that they are involved in some criminal activity. We can issue a verbal warning. We can issue a written warning. We can issue a citation, or we can arrest them. Those are our options during the traffic stop. This is a picture of our citations. This is a picture of our warnings. If you get a warning, it doesn't go to the state, but it does go in-house for our records, so anybody in Sumner County is on our system. You can see if we have had an encounter with you based on this, or just based on stopping the tag, technically. Some officer safety issues, how we position our patrol car. A couple of different, I think out here tonight, cars are basically parallel. Here's our violator vehicle, and I think the patrol car is set up like this, sort of offset, but same direction. What I like to do, I guess I'm going to kind of do it back there. If this is the car I stop, that's wrong. I like to position my car at an angle like that, and I will turn my wheels this way. Now, I do that for a couple of reasons. Now, we know because of issues with the move over law, that sometimes people will come up behind us and they'll hit us. If a car hits this car right here, hits this police car, where's that car going to go? Straight up there. Hopefully, if a car hits my car and the wheels are turned that way, hopefully the car is going to divert from me and the vehicle that I've stopped. Also, we could measure this and we could see the distance right here between from wheel to wheel. We can measure the distance from the left front corner to the rear right corner, and it's going to be more than the distance here. So what does that give me? It gives me more cover and concealment. Also, when I turn my wheels there, that's going to help me. That's going to give me just a tad more cover and concealment. So if shots start coming down this way, I can hide behind my car here, back here. I've got the engine block. I've got the wheels. I want to create as many obstacles as I can between unfriendly fire and me. Because the ultimate goal for every police officer is to go home at the end of his shift in the same shape or better shape than when he left home that morning. We always leave our gun hand empty. I'm assuming most of us in here are right-handed, so when you walk up to a car, you're going to have your gun belt on, you're going to have your gun, and you're going to carry a flashlight. Keep your flashlight in your non-dominant hand. That way, if something happens, if you have to, you can throw the flashlight and you can draw your weapon at the same time. But you always want to leave your gun hand empty. Be cognizant of your surroundings. Again, we're watching the cars behind us, watching the car in front of us, we're watching the people in the car. There's a lot to watch out there, okay? We talked about all that. Just invariably, when you're in the middle of a traffic stop, somebody's going to come up behind you and want directions. That's going to happen, okay? Gosh, anyway. In the case that we have to give loud commands, we want to make sure they're clear. Okay, there's nothing worse than 12 cops doing a felony stop, and all 12 of us are screaming commands. Well, heck, fire! How am I going to be able to hear all them? So we want to make sure we'd like in the perfect situation for one person to give loud, clear commands and tell those people in the car exactly what we want them to do. We want to make sure that there's a safe distance between us and the motorist or the suspect. If I run up on somebody. I'm a decent-sized guy, but all it takes for a 135-pound woman is one shot to the jaw, and I'm out, okay? So we want to make sure that we have enough distance between us and the person in front of us. And this is going way beyond what we're going to learn tonight, but this is our typical stance when we're talking to somebody. We have our hands up, have our feet spread just a little bit, our knees bent. So we're in that combat-ready stance, sort of. And we want to leave enough distance between us and the other person, because like I said, there's some quick people out there. And, if they draw a knife real quick and come at me, I want to have enough time to divert them away and draw my weapon on them. So make sure that when you do your traffic stops tonight, that you don't let somebody just walk up on you. If somebody's walking up on you, tell them to stop. If they don't stop, then we can escalate our force. We don't want people to put their hands in their pockets. People start putting their hands in their pockets, I'm worried about what they're going to bring out and pull on me. So we want to make sure that they tell them to keep their hands out of their pockets. If they put their hands in their pockets again, that's going to give me enough articulation to probably pat somebody down or take a little bit further action. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At the point that they don't obey your command, like hands in pocket, they can come out with a knife or a gun. Do you go to your gun at that point?
Deadly force, that's a whole different multi-hour class. You can only use as much force as necessary in return. So, if you reasonably perceive that someone is about to seriously injure you or kill you, then you can resort to deadly force, okay? But you have to be able to say that, you were reasonably in fear. Now, if you stop me, and this is no disrespect to any females or smaller people or anything.
That's my next question.
Okay. You are going to have much more leeway in what you can do with me as opposed to what I can do with you. Okay, does that make sense? You're a smaller frame person, so people are probably going to question my use of force against you much more than they're going to question your use of force against me. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Just real quickly. We have a force continuum. I'm sure that you guys probably went over that at some point. Did you? Force continuum, officer presence, verbal commands, hands-on, taser, ASP, and deadly force. So those are our levels. You don't have to go step by step. I can go from officer presence straight up to deadly force if I feel that's necessary. You going against me are going to be able to justify that much more, going from officer presence to deadly force. If I step forward and throw a punch at you, I mean, you're probably going to be more justified at shooting me than I would be you. And that's just a quick example.
So rule of thumb gets stopped by a guy, not a girl.
We want to watch for body language. I stopped the car one night, and long story short, I found an 8 ball of cocaine in his car. Well, before I found the cocaine in his car, the guy he's back there and he passes out. I thought, oh my gosh, what happened to this guy? Well, he just got so nervous, he got weak in the knees, and he passed out because he was about to go to jail for having 8 ball of cocaine in his car.
So if we have people that we don't start looking for your driver's license or anything until y'all get there.
That would be my preference, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't take off your seatbelt, reach over there in the glove box. I might not even ask you for that. I might just go up and say, hey, slow down, okay? So just keep your hands up there in plain sight, sit still, and wait for us to tell you what we want you to do, okay? All right, we have got to hurry up here. Real quick, this is when I first went to the drug task force as Charles Campbell. He was a former police officer. This is Raging Ron Black. He was a Gallup City police officer. He now works for Metro Police Department, the K-9 unit. This is Bobby Smith, Louisiana State Trooper. Mike, oh my gosh, Mike Lewis. Excellent criminal interdiction officer, former Maine State Trooper, I believe. He's now a sheriff somewhere up in Maine, I believe. This is Jody Starks that I told you about. And this is yours truly. This is a shadow. This is not a mullet, by the way. All right, so quick story about this right here. We went down to Georgia and went to a class on criminal interdiction. And Bobby Smith and Mike Lewis were the guest speakers. I want to tell you about Bobby Smith real fast. Bobby was a beast back in his day. He was a Louisiana State Trooper. He was a competitive bodybuilder. He had everything, according to him. Okay, he had everything. He had the job that he wanted, Louisiana State Trooper. He had dreams of being the colonel of the Louisiana State Police one day. He was married, had a child. I don't remember how old his daughter was. She was, 10-ish, I think. So Bobby's working a DUI checkpoint one night. And car comes flying up and bypasses the checkpoint. Oh no, you can't do that. Not in Louisiana especially. So Bobby said, hey, I got this one. So Bobby takes off after this car. So Bobby's chasing this car for a short distance, and I believe what happens was the car spins around and is meeting Bobby there. This is after dark, so the guy's bright lights are shining right in Bobby's face. Bobby makes a tactical error, and he pulls up and gets out of his car in the lights of the other vehicle. What Bobby doesn't know is the driver of that other vehicle is a career criminal, a violent drug offender, who has a shotgun. So Bobby gets out, he's going after this guy, he's looking for him. The guy shoots Bobby with a shotgun. Bobby returns fire, but the guy's able to get off another shot. Second shot hits Bobby in the face. Other troopers get there, and the suspect is ultimately killed. Now the aftermath is that Bobby will never be a Louisiana State Trooper again because he is blinded. Bobby is blinded because of this thug decided to shoot at Bobby. So Bobby goes home and he just let down. I mean, just can you imagine his dream being the colonel of Louisiana State Police is gone. He's never going to be a trooper again. Because he lost his job, he ultimately lost pretty much everything. His home, his marriage suffered, and he got a divorce. I believe his wife took the child. Of course, being blind, Bobby can't take care of the child. So Bobby's just on the verge of suicide. I mean, what is there else to live for? What else is there to live for? Until his brothers show up and say, hey, it's going to be okay. Let's work through this. Long story short, as Bobby gets his Bachelor of Science degree, gets his Master's degree, gets his PhD, writes 3 books. The man who was that close to killing himself, but because of his brothers, his other law enforcement brothers and sisters, turned Bobby around. Bobby currently goes all over the world speaking. He does probably 120 engagements a year as a motivational speaker. And Bobby, I hope I get this right, he pulls out his badge from he has his retired Louisiana State Trooper badge in his wallet. He says, this is my badge. I'll never put it on a shirt again, but this is my badge. And so Bobby says this is an acronym. We all know that an acronym is, a word that the letters make up, other words. B stands for bravery. A stands for your attitude. And on a personal note, there are two things that we control in life. That's our attitude and that's our effort. We control those things every day. We get out of what we put in. D stands for dedication. The D, or the G, probably the most important one, is God. G stands for God. And the E stands for empathy. We have a tough job. We see a lot of bad. We see a lot of good, too. There are a whole lot more good days than there are bad days. But we have to be empathetic towards the people we serve. We serve a lot of people, more than just 165,000 people live in Sumner County, the people that pass through. There are people who are kin to the people and friends of the people who live in Sumner County, so that just multiplies the people who look to us and count on us for the things that we do. So Bobby, I want to tell a story real quick about Bobby Smith. He has overcome adversity, and it's really come a long way. And I want to show you a couple of real quick videos. Mark Chestnut, remember him? He was the Metro Police officer who was shot working criminal interdiction. Body language. When a guy gets out of the car, he's got his hands up. He's been stopped before. He's probably been ordered to put his hands up before. Long story short, this guy was just broken out of prison in Mississippi, I believe. The other guy who was with him drove him up here. Guy shoots Sergeant Mark Chestnut numerous times. Sergeant Chestnut ultimately lived, but you never know what's going to come out.
Why would he not be in front of his dash camera there?
Sergeant Chestnut?
Yes.
He returned to his car to do paperwork and call in some information. So, but again, I don't want to second guess another officer, but he probably should not have let that guy come back to him. Probably should have, ordered him to stop. Mark should have got out of his car and taken further action. Things go back real quick.
Please sit back. Please sit back in the car for me. You were speeding, but right now I need you. Sir, get back in the car for me now. Sir, please get back in the car for me now.
Hidden hands not complying with officer's request. Approaching, turns out bad. Pulls up, this gentleman gets out. Walking back like we talked about. I'll speed this up just a little bit. Fire on officer. Kills him.
Kills the officer?
Yes. Gets back in his truck, speeds off. Hey, remember what I said? First thing you hear on the news, police officer shoots an unarmed man. Well, the first thing you think, cops are just abusing their power. This guy right here's been in a fight. This officer gets a call about him. He's going to get out.
Come on over the rail. Come on over the rail. Do it now.
Yes,
Do it now. Get down on your knees. Do it now. Down on your knees. Do it. Come on, get down on your knees. You're going to get down with the fingers, but don't do it. Get down on your knees. You're ripping the back. Get down on your knees. Get down on your knees.
Okay. Some vulgar language there, so I'm going to stop that. Pretty good sized guy. Again, there was another officer that showed up, but the officer got attacked and shot this guy, and you would see him a few seconds later the suspect laying in front of the car, and managed to walk a few feet and collapse. The hardest time that I've had arresting people are not people that are bigger than me, it's people that are smaller than me. I don't know why, But I'm telling you, it only takes one solid punch to knock somebody out, to take their gun, shoot them, shoot you, shoot anybody. And that's just something that we cannot, it's a chance we cannot afford to take. This gentleman was given numerous commands. He didn't comply. He was shot with a taser, which was ineffective. Let me tell you something, nothing except God is 100%. Hear me say that again, nothing except God is 100%. There was a story about tasers not long ago on Channel 4 about, well, they're only like 70-something% reliable. Well, duh, nothing's 100% reliable. You saw the guy get shot with a taser, it was ineffective. He approached the officer, he punched the officer. The officer did sustain facial injuries. But just know, and I'd like for you to tell others as well, what you see on the news or what you hear on the news, that's not the whole story.
Do y'all not have a personal bubble that you're allowed to protect yourself once they step into that?
That's what I was talking about earlier. My stance, I want to create enough distance between me and the other person. Even if it's somebody who I initially don't think is, violent, I'm still leaving enough distance between me and that person so I can react to anything that they might do.
Right. Do you travel in twos or no?
Very, very seldom. If we're training somebody or if there's a reserve or somebody, we might double up. But most of the time we're by ourselves. And here's the thing about deputy sheriffs is, there are nights when we have on midnight. I work midnights. So there are nights that we might have 6 people working, and there might be a time when I'm way up on the northern end of Westmoreland, and the closest car is in Oak Grove, which is a good 10 minutes away, or in Gallatin, which is 15 minutes away. So there's a chance that one of our guys or women could be out there for 10 minutes fighting a suspect. And there are a number of things that play into the decisions that we have to make, and that's one of them.
Did you ever, travel in pairs? Wasn't that common at one time? Like there were always 2 officers to a
I'm sure there probably was, but now with our call volume, with the area that we have to cover, with funding, there's not, those things put together will not allow us in most circumstances to have more than one person per car.
You ever shoot to blame instead of to kill somebody
We shoot
coming at you?
We shoot to neutralize the threat.
I'm sorry.
We shoot to neutralize the threat. We don't shoot to kill. We don't shoot the wound in the leg. So, when somebody says, why didn't an officer shoot him in the leg? That's, if somebody's coming at me, if I think somebody is about to seriously injure me or kill me, I'm not worried about wounding in the leg. I'm worried about making sure that person does not hurt me to the point where I'm disabled or kills me, where they're going to take my things, my gun, and go kill some other innocent person. And I have that obligation to look out for you as well to make sure that innocent third-party people are not killed by that violent person. Yes, sir.
What do you do about the Hispanic people? They can't understand.
We encounter language barriers. You just have to do the best you can. You have to do the best you can. Now we have such a population of Serbian, of Middle Eastern people, so many different languages and dialects, and it's impossible for us to know every single language and dialect. We just have to do the best we can. You improvise, you have to adapt, and you overcome. We just have to make it work.
Body language is huge.
Body language is huge, yes. There's so many nonverbal cues that we're trained to look for. Again, I was talking about the guy breathing heavy. I've always heard the 4 whites of the eyes. Right now you look at my eyes, and you see the 2 whites, on each side. When somebody's getting ready to bolt, their eyes become big, or when they're going to do something crazy, you see the 4 whites of their eyes. You see, white on top and white on the side and on the bottom. So that's, just a couple examples.
Earlier slide, you had window tinting. Is there a standard for that?
35%, I believe, is the darkest you go.
Do you just make a determination of that at the scene?
We now have, if we believe that a car is operating with illegal window tint, that's enough reasonable suspicion for us to stop the vehicle and do a test. Some guys, you have a meter, a test? Okay. Some guys have electronic meters. I have one of the old cars that was given out by the Highway Patrol years ago. Basically, half of it is blank and the other half has 35% window tint on it. I take the white part and put it on the inside of the window, and if the white part is darker than my tinted part, then I know it's illegal.
That's good.
So again, we have to make do with what we have and improvise.
That's very attractive.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I did it right along with Officer Tay on the 50. He said that if you smell marijuana emanating from the car, it's probable cause.
Absolutely, yes. It gives me probable cause to search the car and detain people until I'm done searching it.
So at that point, you just call for canine right away?
Just at
You
that
call
point.
for canine right away as soon as you...
No, I mean, no, and that's kind of a pet peeve there. Long story short is, why do I need a dog if I already smell the marijuana? I mean, I already have a probable cause. The dog is just there to, if I don't have the scent of marijuana, if I reasonably think that that person is carrying drugs, I have to call the dog in. We had a whisper stop one day that somebody was transporting dope up the road in a Tahoe. Stopped the car, was up there, had our heads all in there, couldn't smell the marijuana because he had it so vacuum sealed, so masked with dryer sheets, mustard, and other things. You just absolutely could not smell it. You could put it right up to your nose, but the dog could smell it. The dog was up on the car and there was 511 pounds of marijuana in the car.
Evening, sir. Your license and registration, please. What's going on? Oh, sorry. What's going on? Oh, nothing much. How about you? Excuse me, ma'am? Officer? Yes? Officer. Yes. Hey, step back, please. No. I need directions. Hey, ma'am, please step back. I need directions. Can you give me directions to Starbucks? No, I can't. Step back, I need directions. Step back. I've got to get to Starbucks. Step back. I've got to get back. I've got to get back there now.
Okay.
Oh, well.
That's it.
Boy, you're persistent.
These rocks.
That's our lost citizen.
All right, so there's the scenario that we talked about in the classroom. You got somebody that stops or directions to Starbucks, or they want to know what you're doing out here. The correct way to handle that, and the cover officer I think was helping that, just to see how the primary officer will deal with it. The cover officer will handle them. They figure out the directions, or the primary officer has got to get to a point where they can see the driver and the person that's coming up to them. I mean, it's obviously a dangerous situation. You've got to come up in front of the windshield now. So.
They tell you.
Sure. Now, another thing that I've noticed, whenever you guys are getting out, the things on the police car that we're using, the spotlight in here, the blue lights, the wall of lights, so the driver, we want to surprise them. We don't want them to know we're going to be there. Right? So when you get out of your car, don't slam your car door, because that gives them a clue. You just let it kind of ease it shut. All right.
Good evening, sir. You know you were speeding? Trying to get home? Where do you think the home is? Where is it? Is that a gun I can't back to you? How fast do you think you were going?
Right there. Okay. So a violator,
Yeah.
a violator drew a weapon. She fired off a shot. So you don't want to stand still and give them an easy target. So you come up here, hey, he's fired off. So when you come up here and he draws a weapon out, I'm gonna move back, I'm gonna draw my weapon. I don't want to be a target for him, so I want to create as much distance. My backup officer, once she heard the shot, and she's right here because she already heard you say, is that a gun I see in the back seat? So she's gonna move up here in sort of a more tactical way to engage our suspect if need be. So when he comes out with a gun, our backup officer is just gonna draw and start firing right through the window to neutralize our target. But again, you need to move, don't stand there. When you're up here, and you see the gun, just back up, start being a moving target. A moving target, but don't be a stagnant target, just stand.
Couple of guys asked earlier about the don't quit sign.
That one is, you can
There's a prime example. You saw a gun, heard it fire, and just.
So did you see him have that in
No, I did not.
I saw she's gonna work. We're gonna move.
Oh, okay.
Never stop.
Is that a gun in the box?
Yeah, is that probably gun box, I don't remember now, how quick it can happen. He said it's just an empty box, you know.
Sure, absolutely. Good point. So she didn't actually see the gun, she saw the gun box, a box for a gun in the back seat, right?
And he was answering the questions reasonably well, seems to be.
Okay. Yeah, that's, if you see a gun box, there's a pretty good chance there's a gun in there, so you keep that in the back of your mind, and, you might want to be a little bit more on guard. Yeah, he was being compliant. Remember our guy that shot Mark Chestnut? Well, I was with his hands up, seemed like a compliant guy, right? How quickly reaching out and grab something. Seems like he's compliant because he's got his hands up, but you just never know. So those are just nonverbal cues to pick up on, and, that you may want to give a little bit more credit to. Good job.